Welcome. Welcome to our virtual Ramadan with the Dialogue Institute of Kansas City and our host family that you will meet later on, and some very special guests. Um, but we want to welcome you this evening to YouTube Live. If you are watching live, you are free at any time to, in the comment section, put your questions if you have questions along the way. And right now, I want to, if you haven't already, to bring some food or what you might be having for dinner to your desk, to your computer, to wherever you are in front of the computer screen, because later on, after the call to the prayer, we will break the fast. And we won't all be eating online together, but we want you to be able to start your meal later after the call to the prayer. So I'm Reverend Kelly Isola. I will be your, I joke with people that I will be your flight attendant for the evening, but I will just be introducing a few of our guest speakers. You can see some of them on the screen now. But sit back and enjoy, and I just want to welcome you to the 2020 Dialogue Institute, Kansas City, Ramadan Iftar. Ayub, you're on.
Hello, everybody. This is Eyüp Esen from Dialogue Institute of Kansas City. Greetings to the people of the country of unconditional love. We have many friends today joining us from different cities, states, all around United States. My name translates as Job, Job in the Bible. And as many people know, I guess, my nicknames are Baby Shack, Turkey Shack, White Shack. But some people ask who gave you this nickname. I forgot to mention this name was given to me by me, myself, and I. That's it. That's pretty much it is. Just to add a few words, sometimes we get this question: how do you survive without eating for 16 hours? No food, no water, how come? My response is yes. We feel hungry and we feel thirsty, but we feel hungry for, for love and thirsty for acceptance. I and my friends are also feeling so hungry and thirsty, but, but in fact, we feel so full, so fat, thanks to our friends' acceptance and by their welcoming. But I think our friends simply practices what their faith teaches them, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Wherever you are, please join me to read these verses from the Bible. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me water. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. And a few words to add to show our to show our love for people. Again, I'm gonna make a quote. I'm gonna quote Mr. Fethullah Gülen's words, and I want everyone to join me again. Be so loving that your heart becomes wide like the ocean. Become inspired with faith and love of human beings. Let there be no troubled souls to whom you do not offer a hand and about whom you remain unconcerned. Thank you so much. And the mic is with Kelly now.
Thank you, Ayub. Um, Ayub is if you don't know Ayub Essen, he is a wonderful, wonderful example of the work of Fethullah Gulen. And just if you want to know about compassion, if you want to know about building world peace, if you want to know about um, just how to live your most noble self, Ayub is the gentleman to get to know. And I have known him for several years, and it's really been a pleasure and a privilege. Um, so I want to just take a couple minutes and tell you about the Dialogue Institute. It is there are uh, satellite offices in several cities around the country, and here in Kansas City, we welcome you and we thank you for joining us this evening. Our host organizations tonight are all from the Kansas City area. And so I want to just share a little bit about the Dialogue Institute and who they are and what they do and why the work is so important. So you just met Ayub. He is the director of the Dialogue Institute. As he said, his name translates as Job. Um, and he really does have the patience of Job. He just has this very big, wide open heart, and is really the embodiment of the Dialogue Institute and the work that the Dialogue Institute does. I'm Reverend Kelly Isla. I'm the chair of the Greater Kansas City Interfaith Council. I'm also a Unity minister, and it's been my pleasure and my privilege to work with the Dialogue Institute for several years to help host and to present and to participate in the iftars, the Ramadan fast breaking meal that is every evening for the whole month of Ramadan. And you'll hear more about Ramadan a little bit later on, but it's really a joy and a privilege for me. While I'm not a Muslim, I certainly can appreciate the sacredness and the holiness and what makes it so important to celebrate in community, to focus our attention on what is sacred, and to recognize others that may not have what I have in terms of food and water and housing and family and loving connections and relationships. So the Dialogue Institute was born out of the Gulen movement. And the Gulen movement is named after Fethullah Gulen, who is a Turkish Muslim scholar. He is a thought leader. He's an opinion leader. He's an activist. He's a peacemaker. He writes and speaks and teaches about science and spirituality and how to create a world that works for all. He's won numerous awards from multiple organizations, as you can see on the screen there. And it is just the Dialogue Institute is furthering his work and inviting all of us to participate in that. So some of the activities that the Dialogue Institute coordinates and offers to the community is these Ramadan fast breaking dinners that throughout the month, connecting with organizations and community organizations to introduce them to this practice of fasting for a month, but also to introduce them to Islam and to break down some barriers, religious barriers or cultural barriers. And so here you see a couple of pictures. The picture on the right is actually a police department here in the Kansas City area. And then there's families and there's universities and retail establishments and banks and lots of churches and synagogues and all kinds of faith communities that join with the Dialogue Institute to have the fast breaking meals, the iftars, in community, bringing people of different cultures and different faiths together, which is the annual Dialogue and Friendship Dinner, which we just missed having. It was scheduled for April 20th, but we weren't able to do that because of the pandemic. And so we are finding other ways to come together. We're finding other ways to have friendship dinners virtually. And the annual Dialogue Dinner is one of the powerful annual events that brings hundreds and hundreds of people together, that are communities and organizations and individuals that are building a community of justice and a community of unity, and different acknowledging and honoring and celebrating the diversity in our community in the Kansas City area. And there's every year an organization or an individual is given an award for making those contributions to creating a world that works here in not just the Kansas City area, but there's always the ripple effect. They offer water marbling classes, which are really fabulous. If you're the kind of person who says, I'm not creative, water marbling is for you, because you let the water and the paint do the work for you. You put paper in and it just creates these phenomenal patterns, and you let it dry and you frame it, and you're a Van Gogh and you're a Picasso and you didn't even know it. Some of the other things that the Dialogue Institute offers are they have the Saturday brunch and dialogue, and it's a way to come together, to have interfaith dialogue, to build understanding, to develop relationships. You'll notice, if you haven't already, that several events and several programs that the Dialogue Institute has and offers are around food. What better way to come together than over a meal, over coffee, over baklava? So another program is the Dinner with Host Families. It's just bringing people together who don't know each other over dinner. Already mentioned the coffee and baklava. That's probably some of my yummiest and favorite, to have baklava and wonderful Turkish coffee while making new friends. They offer Turkish language classes and, of course, cooking classes. What peace building organization would be complete without teaching people how to cook? Again, to come together with food. It's always a reason for celebration. It always builds bridges, and I say it in a little bit in jest and with a smile, but it really is very, very true. They also finally offer Thanksgiving dinners. Many people involved with the Dialogue Institute are not um, from America originally, and are maybe new to the American custom and ritual of Thanksgiving. And so it's another way of bringing cultures together and celebrating Thanksgiving and celebrating gratitude and appreciation for where we connect, and have some similarities and share values together, but also celebrating the diversity and the differences. And so, on that note, I want to move into introducing the the two people, the two different organizations that are hosting this evening. So I want to first introduce Reverend Laura Guy. She's at the Living Water Christian Church and Disciples of Christ, in Parkville, Missouri, which is outside of Kansas City. It's an open and affirming congregation. And then we will have either Reverend Peter Sarna or Mieko Sarna, I'm not sure which they are from the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification in Kansas City, Kansas. So first, we're going to hear from Reverend Laura Guy. So welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here with you. And I apologize for being in the dark. I have about 5 lamps shining on me, and for whatever reason, it still looks like I'm sitting in the dark. I'm excited to be a part of this first ever online iftar. Our church, Living Water Christian Church, has been doing the Ramadan fast breaking dinners with the Dialogue Institute. I think we started 4 years ago. And so that has been something we look forward to every year, to sharing this special meal and learning more about Ramadan and other parts of the faith practices of our Muslim friends. And then we also have additional meals and events throughout the year. We have gone to a Saturday brunch there with them and have had them to our building for dinner and bingo. So we love playing bingo with our friends from the Dialogue Institute. We even taught them the traditional American dance of the hokey pokey. So that's something else we enjoy doing. So it's wonderful to be here. I'm glad that Living Water can be a part of this again. And it's wonderful to see everybody, and look forward to your questions in the conversation tonight.
Wait, don't go anywhere yet. So how did they do with the hokey pokey?
They did great. We tried to find things. We knew that some people, see, they're used to it now. Especially some of the older generations who speak very little English. We wanted them to be able to fully participate in the evening. So we discovered that everybody can play bingo, no matter how much English you might speak, and everybody can do the hokey pokey. So yeah, it was great.
Turn yourself around.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you to Living Water Christian Church and Disciples of Christ. Thanks. The other host organization this evening is the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification. And that's, I'm not sure if Peter Sarna or his wife Mieko is online to just speak for a minute about your organization. There you are, Mieko.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Sorry, looks like my husband couldn't make it. And yeah, we hosted also Ramadan dinner last year, and it was really good. And we really like that. We really want to do again. Really literally, we want to host physically. Yeah. So my husband wrote some sentence for our church, so I'm gonna just read about that. Unification Church was started in Korea by our founder, Reverend Samuel Moon. He was born in 1920 in North Korea and started having revelations from Jesus when he was 15 in 1935. Jesus asked him to continue his mission. Reverend Moon had revelations for 9 years concerning the Bible, which he wrote, organized, and wrote down as the divine principle. Our church operates in all countries, but is underground in many of them. We also have UN NGOs such as Women's Federation for World Peace and UPF, Universal Peace Federation, which operate in many countries. We also operate some university in Korea and own 세계일보 newspaper in Korea and the Washington Times in America. Our church promotes interfaith understanding and moral families. That's it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Mieko Sarna and her husband Peter also serve on the Greater Kansas City Interfaith Council as council members for their church. They're one of about 23 different faith voices that we have on the Interfaith Council. And so it's good to see you. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And now I want to introduce our special guest. We're having special guests as well. And tonight our special guest is Bill Timaeus. He's a Presbyterian elder. He's a former columnist for the Kansas City Star, where he spent more than 36 years working for them. In addition to, and he still blogs every day. He does a daily blog on faith, and he writes columns for the Presbyterian Outlook. And from 2010 to 2018, he wrote columns for the online edition of the National Catholic Reporter. He writes a monthly column for Flatland, KCPT TV's digital magazine, which is Kansas City's affiliate for PBS. And he's the author of at least 6 books that I know of. I don't know if there's been another one that's come out, but on topics of faith, particularly, many of them Christian faith. I know there's one around the Holocaust, and the one on doubt and faith, and so just around meaning and inviting us into a deeper look into our own faith. So welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Kelly. It's nice to be here. Salam alaikum, everyone. I want you to know I first became aware of Ramadan when I lived in India for 2 years of my boyhood. We lived on a college campus in what was then called Allahabad, but is now known as Prayagraj. Our home was just a short walk from a small Muslim village, and it was the children from that village with whom I played who introduced me to Ramadan. As an adult and as a journalist, I have attended several iftar dinners over the years as I've become deeply involved in interfaith matters. And what most impresses me about those dinners is the sense of joy that Muslims seem to feel at the end of a day of fasting. Some of that, of course, may be simply the relief of finally getting to eat again, but I think it goes much deeper than that. The joy seems to be a reflection of the result of a spiritual discipline, a discipline that honors Allah because it seeks to obey Allah. So Ramadan Mubarak to all my Muslim friends. May you find this season, though more difficult because of this coronavirus pandemic, but may you find that it brings you deep joy that motivates you to share that with others. I wish I could stay a little longer tonight, but I need to join my wife for an outdoor neighborhood concert that we've been invited to. So I will simply say peace to you, and may your time in this pandemic end soon and in a peaceful way.
Thank you, Bill. And same for you. Enjoy your evening. Our keynote speaker tonight is Manaz Shabir. I've known Manaz for, several years, probably, it might actually be close to 10 years. We've met through interfaith circles, through here in Kansas City, through lots of different avenues, lots of different programs. Manaz Shabir is president of Shabir Advisors, an integrated strategic management consulting company that focuses on planning, marketing, diversity, transformation, and education. She's now an adjunct at Avila University, who, by the way, has hosted iftars, Ramadan iftars in the past, teaching diversity in the workplace. I know that she also works with the Department of Justice's Community Relations Services as an expert in training law enforcement, which I of all the things in the world to like, I think there's an awful lot of learning and help to be done with law enforcement in regards to faith, being aware of faith traditions. She's very involved in the community activities ranging from the Crescent Peace Society, Truman Medical Center's Overland Park Police Board, and the Greater Kansas City Interfaith Council. She's on our advisory board. She's written for a wide range of publications and participated in television, radio, streaming broadcasts, and lots and lots of activities and events throughout the Kansas City area, also working hard to create a world that works for all. So thank you. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Manaz. And if you have questions for Manaz as she's speaking, please feel free to put those into the comment box.
Great. Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate that. And it's so nice to be on the panel with you because we've done this several times. And Eyüp, thank you for inviting me. And it's delighted to be here with both of the religious organizations as well, and whoever else is listening in tonight. So today I'm going to speak for about 10 minutes about Ramadan. And like Kelly said, if you have questions, if there's something that I didn't cover, because it's basically everything you want to know about Ramadan, 10 minutes, we can answer some of those in the Q&A there. So Ramadan is the 9th month of the Muslim calendar, and we follow a lunar calendar. So we were watching the moon to make sure that we were starting on time. So about a week ago, Ramadan started, and we fast from before sunrise till after sunset for 29 to 30 consecutive days. So we wake up early in the morning before sunrise, and we eat a breakfast. So like I was up a little after 4 o'clock. I prepare a lot of things the night before, so I'm not making everything all of a sudden because, we're still very tired. So, so we eat a breakfast to hopefully sustain us for the entire day. We do not drink water or eat anything during the day. We don't chew gum. We don't chew the end of a pencil. We don't bite our fingernails or any of that stuff. And so until after sunset. And then at sunset, that's when we break our fast. So that's what we would have been doing today with all of you if we were in presence. And then you'll be able to do experiences also in video. And we break our fast with a date and some water, and then we pray. So during the day, we can do what we normally do, which would be if we're working outside the home, we would be working. We have a lot of folks that are Muslims, that are essential workers, that are in the hospitals, doctors and nurses and respiratory therapists. And so they're doing their work fasting. And other people that are just like myself. I'm not a medical person, but I'm a consultant. So I do my work as well while we're fasting. But during the day, we also we know that we're in the presence of God. But sometimes when we're busy doing our thing, whatever that thing is, we forget. But when you're fasting, you're always remembering that you're in the presence of God. And we call God Allah, which is the Arabic word for God. And so what we try to do also during this time is to do good deeds. So we do a lot of charity work, feeding the poor, the needy. And we also take the time to read the Holy Book, which is the Quran. We try to finish that during the 30 days. That's like another special blessing for us to finish the Quran. And the Quran was actually revealed during the month of Ramadan. So, these were the words from God, from Allah, that was sent to Prophet Muhammad, which was one of the prophets. He was the last prophets from Adam, Abraham, Moses, to the last prophet we believe was Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon all of them. And so he revealed the Quran to the community. And so when we read the Quran, we believe we are reading the words of God. So it's one of the things that we do with our children. We teach them how to read the Arabic, and so they can also do the prayers in Arabic as well. So this is the time that we would be, it's like self-cleansing, a time of renewing, looking at what are you doing and how your life is going. And it's an important period for all of us. And so sometimes I get asked, when do we start fasting? So it's basically from the time we mature. So for girls, it's basically around 10 to 12 years old, whenever that time period is. And for boys, it's around 15. But I have 4 sons, and I could tell you they weren't mature at 15. But anyway, that's another story. So then we fast, and women will stop fasting when it's that time of the month, when they're having children, when they're pregnant, and when they're nursing. They're not required to fast. When people get older, like my parents, they're 88 and 89 years old. They're on medication and they're not able to fast. So they are, what they do is they feed people during that time period who don't have the resources to do that morning breakfast and that afternoon dinner, the iftar, which is what we're calling the Ramadan dinner, which is where we have all this food for people to eat, but not everybody has that. So they actually send money. My family came from India, so they sent money to India to pay, to have people who are less fortunate to have that type of food. And then at the end of Ramadan, after the 30th day, again, we're looking at the moon to see when is that new moon, the little crescent. We have an Eid celebration, and it's called Eid al-Fitr. And so before we even start our prayer, we take out money that we will give for donation for charity. And this is a time where the congregation gets together, and I'm not sure exactly how this is going to happen this year. We're probably going to have to be doing it in our homes, or I'm not sure. We'll have to get close to that. But in the past, what we would do, it'd be like a small United Nations, because whatever the language that people spoke from the countries that they came from, they would be doing that in the dialogue before the actual prayer begins, and they'll be wearing the clothing from their own country. So it's a very festive, happy occasion. And then when the prayer starts, it's in Arabic. And then we're all silent and we're following the prayer that the imam who's leading the prayer, it's like a minister, a priest that's in the front of the room. And then we meet and greet each other. We are so happy for everyone's success for completing Ramadan and whatever they had desired to accomplish that month. And then for us culturally, we also go and visit the elderly that may not have been able to attend, and then people who are buried at the cemetery, and we go and give our salams, our peace greetings to folks who've passed away. So that's basically what Ramadan is in a few minutes. And so I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Manaz. Yeah, there's a couple questions. One of them, I'm not sure that it has to do with Ramadan or not, but wants to know, does every woman wear the headscarf, and do you have to?
Okay, yep. That's not about Ramadan, but that's fine. So in the Quran, it says that the people of the household of Prophet Muhammad, the women should cover their hair and their chest. And men should be dressed modestly as well. So you won't see, like in the Arab countries, men wearing shorts, even though it's hotter than here. They're not wearing shorts. They wear slacks or the dope, which is that long gown. But I know Muslim women who don't wear the scarf, and I started wearing the scarf about 10 years ago after I came back from the Hajj, which is the pilgrimage in Arabia, Mecca. And I decided that that was something I wanted to do as part of my identity of who I am as a Muslim. And I feel every time I put my scarf on, I'm closer to my spirituality. So since 2010, I have not taken my scarf off in public. So it's not, so depending on how people look at the laws of faith, like just like how you may not practice like your siblings may practice, you're a little different. The same thing in Islam. There's 1.6 billion Muslims in the world, and even the scarf, how it's wrapped, is also culturally driven as well.
Okay. So does the fasting also, I think you may have said this, but no water either? So no food, no water?
No food, no water, no chewing gum, no mints.
Okay.
No, nothing in the mouth. The only time we put water in our mouth is when we do the oblation before our prayers. We do the 5 times a day prayer.
Mhm.
And so we have to put water in our mouth for that, but we don't drink it. It's spit out again. So it's just kind of like rinsing your mouth and spitting it. So that's the only time we have water in our mouth.
So I heard you mention the moon. You said something about going out and seeing the sliver of the moon. And I'm so is Ramadan have something to do with the moon?
It's just the lunar calendar. So every month in the Islamic calendar, it follows that lunar count. So we're always,
That's why Ramadan moves.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's why it moves. So next year will be 11 days earlier. I know I would have friends say, well, I thought Ramadan was in the fall. And I said, it was like maybe 10, 15 years ago. Like
Right.
that.
Okay.
But before that, it was in the summer. We had the longest days. So we were fasting like 19 hours, which was very challenging during the summer days. But now we've moved out of the summer. But each day, since it's like a minute on both ends so I think, yeah, it's getting longer and longer each day that we're fasting this year.
Okay. So there is a question online asking if the prayers are always done in Arabic in every country.
Yes, yes. So that is the language that Allah revealed our faith to us. And so, so even though like my parents came from India, we don't speak Arabic. It's not our language. They speak a different language. It's called Urdu. So it's similar to Arabic, but not quite. So what we have is we have the Quran in Arabic, and then we have the English translation or whatever country translation next to it. For people who just became a Muslim and they're learning the faith, there's obviously, we know that Allah knows that you have just become a Muslim. So people start just try to do the prayers in English, but then they slowly learn how to do it in Arabic, or they may not. So it really depends on that person, how much they want to get into it. Now, for me, one of my goals this year, since I don't speak Arabic, I just read Arabic. I actually enrolled in this course, so I'm actually learning the words. So I can actually, as I'm reading the Quran, and like 10% of the Quran are the same words. So I'm wanting to know, like when I'm reading at the time, I don't want to look at the translation, because we know things get lost in translation. And so that's one of the things that I've been working on this year.
I know that, and you said a little bit about, mentioned it as you were talking about Ramadan, but it sounds as though it's, and the question has come up too, is very community oriented. And it seems very focused on community.
There's a time period even in Ramadan that's called Laylatul Qadr. It's in the end of the month, the last, about a week before, at the end. And that's when we're in a lot of prayers, because we believe this is a time where whatever your wishes are, whatever you're praying for, this is the time that the angels have come down and are here to listen to the prayer. And so we're not in community. And so what we're doing is we're having Zoom prayers, like even last night, there was a prayer on Zoom, because just about different mosques doing different things. But it'll be interesting to see how we manage this year.
Yeah, I'm watching. I can't, Yeah, I'm intrigued as well, and just kind of watching. And on Sunday mornings, I find myself church hopping, but I also am, on Friday evenings, I'm finding synagogues for Shabbat services, and so the same during Ramadan. So, and then one last thing before we move to the for the call to the prayer is, do you have a favorite? This was a question online. Do you have a favorite part of Ramadan?
The favorite part of Ramadan. You know, one of the words that I've learned is the sun and there's sun and the moon in the Arabic, and I always felt that felt like Ramadan's more of, for me, the moon, where you kind of like you take care of yourself. It's
Mm,
time of like the cocooning, and so for me, it's just that cocooning because I don't take care of myself all the time, non-Ramadan, but it's like this is the time of self-care. It's about me, and giving back to God, so to speak, and to others. I think this is a time when people they don't know it's Ramadan and they'll be asking for money for this cause or that cause. And it's one of my beliefs that if somebody comes to me and asks for a donation, I will give a donation no matter what the small or big amount that can be done. So I think it's that part of Ramadan where it is a cocooning for me, but it's also my way of giving back to the larger community.
So, and okay, so I said that was the last one, but it's not really.
Okay.
There's, someone has asked this online, but I've also heard people comment or ask about it, that it sounds really hard to fast all day, every day for 30 days.
Well, remember, we're eating in the morning and we're eating at night. Um, so it's not like obviously we wouldn't be able to survive for 30 days without any food. So we are taking care of ourselves that way. I will tell you that I've been on lots of diets in my life, and this is the only time where I'm actually keeping it, the diet, like no food. There's no cheating because if you put food in your mouth, then it voids your prayer.
Mm.
And so that would be not a good thing to do. And I've already put in so much energy, and now I'm at this time in my life where I can keep all my 30 days. I don't travel either. That's the other thing. If you're traveling, you're excused from fasting, but you have to make up those days after you come back. But I don't even want to do that. I want to be here, and I want to finish all of my fasting. So it is hard in some ways, but then it's not really, because we know it's Ramadan. Like
Right.
like little kids are they when they I don't have little kids in the house anymore, but when they were little, they would hear all the activity early in the morning and they will want to say, oh, I want to fast. And then we know they can't really fast. So but they'll eat something and then they'll for at least 2 hours, and so they've just got accustomed to it. So when the time came for them to fast, they had seen it, they were
Mm.
aware of it, and it just became part of the faith that they would fast.
Okay.
So I guess it's hard, but it's not. If you can kind of understand that idea that you're doing something that is challenging, but we also know that this is something that, of the 1.6 billion Muslims, I would say many more, probably 2/3, if not more, maybe 3/4 are fasting.
Yeah.
If not
Well,
more.
and I'm sure it's most faith traditions have fasting of some, you know, um, throughout as a practice, to in being faithful, and as just, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritual, well-being. Fasting is a powerful practice, and I would imagine that for 30 days it actually keeps you very mindful of others in the world.
Well, now there's diets that are doing intermittent fasting, and we kind of joke around with each other, say, "Have you heard about this new intermittent fasting?" It's basically what we do,
Right.
and so
That's
it's
true. That's
it's
true.
and there's been science that shows that this is beneficial for our health as well, to clean out our body and clean out our systems and clean the gunk out. So when we go back to regular eating, maybe it's not the same foods. Maybe we've changed that time, maybe we've and the other thing is, when we break our fast, the whole concept isn't to overstuff ourselves either. That's the other thing, because that doesn't do any good, because then you get all that inside you, and and then you got to go to bed because it's late, and then you got to get up early in the morning. So
Yeah.
nah, you don't want to do that either.
Yeah. So someone, this will really be the last question, because then we'll need to, I know 8:11 is our central time for call to the prayer, but a woman asks online is, why was Ramadan started by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him?
So if you know the story, so let me just real quick, the story of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was, he didn't know that he was going to be a prophet. But people respected him, and he was very trustworthy. He went to this mountain called Jabal Nur, which means mountain of light. And he was in this place and he was meditating. He was just by himself, and the angel Gabriel came to him. And this is the time of what we will say today is Ramadan. But at that time, there wasn't Ramadan, right? Didn't have a name. And the angel Gabriel, the prophet, Allah through angel Gabriel gave him these words to read. And he had not read, he had never been taught how to read. He was a smart man, but he never read. But the first words that came out from God through angel Gabriel was to read. And so this is that month when the Quran was revealed. This was the time that Allah wanted it to be revealed. And so that's how it came about. So there wasn't any Ramadan before that. There wasn't any Quran before that. It was the prophet. But he wasn't even, then he found out he was a prophet, but he didn't even know. He was like surprised that this all was happening. But then came to know that he was asked to guide the people.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Manaz.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to bring Imam Bilal Surt online. There he is. He will be doing the call to the prayer. Imam Bilal Surt is a chaplain. He's also a sociology professor, but he's a chaplain working for Southern Methodist University from Dallas, and he will do the call to the prayer. And he will say it in Arabic, but I'm going to put up a slide in English so that if you don't know Arabic, you can follow the words. So welcome, Bilal.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you so much. Proclamation of God again allows you to, start eating. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم لك سمت وبك آمنت وعلى رزقك افطرت وعليك توكلت إنك على كل شيء قدير لا شريك لك.
And so I offer this prayer for world peace. From the Hadith, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Whatever is prayed for at the time of breaking the fast is granted and never refused." And so from the words of Mahatma Gandhi, I offer you peace, I offer you love, I offer you friendship. I see your beauty, I hear your need, I feel your feelings. My highest wisdom flows from the highest source. I salute that source in you. Let us work together for unity and peace. And so if you've brought something to your desk, to the table to eat, if you haven't already started, now would be the time to break the fast and enjoy some food. And while you do that, I want to introduce you to our guest family, the Chollet family from Dallas. They're going to come pull up there. There's Camille.
Camille, yes.
Sorry about that. And
You're
he's
fine.
going to introduce us to his family and the wonderful food that they've prepared and talk about how they celebrate Ramadan and what's most important for them.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Kelly, for allowing us to be a part of this celebration. Good night, everybody. Good night to Kansas City from Dallas. And we already concluded 1 week of Ramadan. It's actually going really, really fast. So when it starts, before it starts, we all get anxious. Long days, summer days. But again, when it starts, it goes so fast. And when it's over, we actually get upset about it. So you see some decoration that we did at our house to start Ramadan. And obviously, as a family, we get together every night for dinner. And there was a question about what's the best time of Ramadan. Well, I'll cheat there and say the best time for me is time to eat dinner every day. It's a fun time. It is a time that we all enjoy, get together and eat food. So very briefly, I'm going to introduce my family to you. My daughter, Melia. Melia is a 6th grader and she is on her 3rd year of fasting. And my daughter, Salia. Salia is a 3rd grader and she fasts until about lunch, sometimes. And my wife, Padime, in the background.
Hello, Kansas City. Thank you for having us.
And my son, Shamil, you want to say hi? Yes. And now let's talk about what's on the table, right? So I will do my best to show around. That's the soup. Typically, it is good to start with the soup so you can relax the stomach a little bit. And then we will go to the main course. The main course is, can you see the food? That's the main course that me and my wife are eating. That I translate that as Sultan's choice. The underneath is actually eggplants, and over that is beef stew. eggplant is not the most favorite food for the kids. So my daughter is just eating the beef stew. So and other things here, we have dolma, rice inside. The outside is actually dried eggplant that we actually buy from a local store here, comes all the way from Turkey. This is green beans with olive oil. That's the key, is the olive oil there. This is actually a green bean you can buy from any Walmart, any grocery store. This is the seasonal salad with actually Mediterranean dressing. It's very rich. Obviously, lettuce, red cabbage, tomatoes, cucumbers, and a little bit of onions. This is very traditional Turkish food here, which we call börek. It's actually pastry, and there's cheese in it, and the black seeds on top to give the flavor, and the rice. This is the Turkish style of making rice here, and we actually typically rice is one of the courses that we have, and obviously the dates and walnuts, and as the sister was mentioning, how we break the fast is either with water or dates, a little bit of salt or olives. These are the traditions of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, that he used to break his fast with one of the four. And we definitely keep salt, water, and dates on our table. Finally, we have a little decoration here. We are actually marking every single day when we are done with fasting. When it is 30, after the Ramadan, the month of Ramadan is over, after fasting starts feasting. And we feast for about 3 days, 3 days of celebration of successfully completing the month of Ramadan. So what are we doing during the day? Basically, as sister mentioned, there's early breakfast. After the early breakfast, we take some rest, and then we do regular activities that we normally do during the day. And definitely after we are done with our work, we recite some Quran, we eat dinner, and there's a late night prayer, which is actually longer in the month of Ramadan. We call Tarawih. Normally, it's a big activity in the mosques, but due to COVID-19, the mosques are shut down, so we are doing that at our house with our families. Actually, they shut down somewhat. I mean, it's all bad, but the good part of it is we get to spend more time with our families. And that's my summary of what we do in the month of Ramadan.
So
And I am, yep.
Thank you. You know, watching as you're showing the food on the table, and of course feeling a little bit jealous because
You are more than welcome to join us.
Yes, well, as soon as we're allowed to, I'll be in Dallas.
Yes, please.
But we have a question online that someone is asking: is there a like, how long does it take to prepare the meal, or is there a special process or anything special around actually preparing what you've chosen for the meal?
Well, I mean, I totally from honesty, this is this is a lot of food, and we are not going to be able to eat all of it, right? So it depends. It depends on today. Actually, we prepared food for a group of college students too. So there was quite a bit of amount, depending on what you are making. Some of these foods take time. The dolma actually takes time because you have to fill every single one of them one by one. The main course, does it take a lot of time? Well, she's shaking her head a little bit. Yeah, some of them take time. Some of them are fast and easy. Salad, even I can do salad. Doesn't take a ton of time, but some of them take time. And also, beforehand, you have to plan what you are cooking, right? Yeah. So that if you do the proper planning, then it becomes faster. But yeah, depending on who you are having as a guest, what kind of food you are making, it may take time.
So in the here in the U.S. on a holiday like Thanksgiving, there's generally a turkey and generally some potatoes, but every family and even different cultures have their own traditions around particular foods. Do you have family traditions around particular foods?
Yeah, in the month of Ramadan, specific to Ramadan, there are a few things in our culture. Again, every culture is different. I'm talking about Turkish culture. There is a bread we call pide. we don't have it here, but typically it is, you buy it from like professional ovens. It is a round bread, and a lot of places in Turkey, they make it in the month of Ramadan only.
Okay.
So that's one thing. There is a dessert. It actually has a taste and the flavor of a rose. The name is actually coming from that. Made out of milk and a little piece of dough. It's called goulash. That's also Ramadan dessert, because they put some rose flavor on top of it to give that taste. Other than those, obviously desserts are big, especially at the end of Ramadan.
Yes.
During the feast.
Yes.
We lost a lot of weight, right? And we have to get them right away. The baklava.
My favorite.
As a celebration, that's a very, very big
That's
dessert.
my favorite. The Turkish baklava. Yeah. I'll make a trip to Dallas for that. Yeah.
Yes, please. And we have the best baklava in the entire US, I would say that. Maybe not in Turkey, but the entire US. Yeah,
Well,
she didn't like it.
Thank you very, very much. We don't want to hold you up from your meal. We want you to enjoy your evening.
Yes.
Going to have Ayub come back on.
Yep. Well, thank you so much and have a good night.
Hello, Kelly.
Hello.
I am back. I feel blown away by what Kamil and his family made for today, but my table isn't that rich. We have French fries. Can you see it? French fries and meat burgers and ketchup.
Oh,
So,
not quite as fancy, yeah.
but I already eat half of it. So I would want to thank everyone who joined us today. And while also following the YouTube comments, we have friends joining us from El Paso, New Mexico, San Antonio, and some other states, but also a friend from Nigeria and Turkey. So to close the night, just want to share a few words. Please share your love and kindness with people you know and people you don't know. Beware of your potential that you are an ambassador for peace. Don't think you cannot make a difference in this world. As the African saying goes, if you think you are too small to make a difference, you have not spent the night with a mosquito. Thank you so much. And our next virtual Ramadan event is this coming Sunday with the Latter-day Saints, Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints. And again, thank you so much, Laura and Living Waters Church community. You always made us feel welcomed here. And I remember those fun days, bingo days and whatnot, and hope you will do that again. And Mieko and Peter, thank you so much. And Mahnas, you're a great community leader. We already got very positive feedback. Whoever is this American lady, I love her speech. That's what one comment said here. So.
I think they were talking about Kelly, though.
Oh,
Kelly, you are a treasure for us, and thanks for always supporting us.
So thank you, Reverend Laura Guy. Thank you, Peter and Mieko. If you want, you can turn your mic on and say, hello, good night, thank you, whatever. Just connect. I think Bill Timaeus had to go. I'm not sure where Bilal is, but we want to thank him as well. I hope the Cholet family is eating.
Well, we are, but I just took a break.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Okay, so
Good
thank
to be
you,
back.
everybody.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Enjoy
evening.
Ramadan.